Well, what's this? An Enduro Amflow? On today's EMBN show, we take a closer look into something a little bit special. Folks, let me introduce you to Fergus Ryan. You might have seen him over on GMBN. It's Fergus the Racer, very much. Coming up later in today's show, we're going to talk about the Enduro World Championships, the e-Enduro World Championships out in Valais very soon. But you've done a lot of racing, Fergus, haven't you? I'm surprised you're not out there soon doing that racing.
Yeah, that's I've called it a day on my racing, for at least for the full-time side of it. But yeah, certainly enjoyed my fair share of the EWSs and the EDRs back in the day. So
there's the World Championships coming up this weekend. We're going to go into the details after we've talked about the Amflow Enduro, but 70 kilometres and 7,000 metres descending.
That is a big day.
Looking forward to your thoughts on that. But folks, last weekend, the Amflow video out in the Dolomites was out. Hope you've seen that. You might have also seen that Ferdi, my riding colleague that day, was actually riding a modified Amflow bike with a Fox podium fork and a coil shock net and a few other fine details. So this is the chat I had with them whilst we were out in the mountains. Big conversation which has been taking place the last 12 months. Is the Amflow a trail bike or is it an enduro bike? I guess to answer that question, what is trail? What is enduro? It is different things for different people. I'd consider it's kind of the same. But you've got your own custom build here, more of an enduro trim. It's got Fox podium, 170mm, coil shock on the back, Schwalbe Magic Mary Gravity radial tyres, Magura brakes, rental handlebars from the UK. A very different vibe to this bike to the stock Amflow, right?
Yeah. So Amflow showcased that at the Eurobike, and I was lucky enough to get it for this shoot, to showcase it, also to see what you can do with it. Because as you just said, like, what is exactly a trail and enduro? I would say it's an all-mountain bike, so it goes up well, it goes down well, and the rest is a bit what you spec it with.
It's definitely a harder hitting bike.
Yeah.
Because it's got chunkier forks in it. It's got the coil shock. I mean, so I think what this bike gives you, it gives you more sturdiness, bigger diameters, and actually gives you a different nature bike. But what's been the impact on the weight putting those new components on there?
Yeah, I was surprised because I actually weighed it before I left, and with all those heavy components, it's only 21.3.5 kilograms.
Wow. Okay.
And
this was an 800 watt-hour battery.
800 watt battery, big podium, which is a heavy fork, with a coil, which is heavy. So I think this is quite remarkable.
I think, so this bike now is still 150mm travel rear, but 170mm up front.
Right.
Now, this is a really interesting thing. I got on your bike, and I've sat on thousands of bikes over the years, and I'm thinking, this has got a more serious vibe to it. And it also feels bigger. I'm thinking, this is a size large bike, right? Mine's a size large. So I got on, I'm thinking, and it's got a definite more downhill vibe to it. And I'm thinking, what's going on here? So what I did, I measured the bottom brackets, right? Measured the bottom brackets, and your bottom bracket is 12mm lower than my bottom bracket. So I'm thinking, is this a prototype bike? And then, of course, I got me thinking, I was thinking, what the heck's going on here? And of course, then it clicked. 27.5 rear.
Right. There's mullet. And you also have the option to have to set the flip chip in high and low.
I believe that a 29-29 setup is actually better for climbing, especially over technical terrain, because I think it's got the wheels have a more settled vibe to it, and of course it's got a better rollover.
Right.
So that, I would argue, that is actually definitely a better trail enduro bike. That's more probably a better enduro downhill style bike. But I think the message is the Amflow can actually do both, right? And that bike is able to take a 170 fork, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's also on the website. So there's specs, what you can put on the bike, like officially from Amflow, and I think it's a very versatile bike. So it really adapts to what you like to use it for, and so you can spec it like this, leave it like this. A lot of options, and it can cope with a lot of things. Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, an e-bike is about other things as well as the uphill ability, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, what a trip that was out in the Dolomites with Ferdi from Avinox. Fergus, you must have ridden Tutti Frutti out in Val di Fassa, right?
I have indeed. What a trail.
It's awesome, isn't it?
Yeah, insane.
So it's interesting because we had two different Amflows out there. There was my bike, which was the standard spec, 29-inch wheel front and rear, 150mm travel. And then Ferdi from Avinox had the Fox Podium, coil shock, 27.5. It's an interesting sort of transition between trail bikes and enduro bikes, isn't it, really? I mean, in my eyes, I think they're kind of the same thing a lot of the time, right?
I think they are. I think on a trail like that, you would definitely notice sort of having the sort of burlier forks and that slightly more manoeuvrable rear end. I think like those super tight switchbacks that you have down that ridgeline definitely would lend themselves more to the 27.5 rear. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, you can still ride it and have a wicked time on a trail bike. But for sure, the enduro bike, if you're wanting to go flat out down it, that would definitely be a help.
I tell you, what a trail that is, right? When you get into the woods and you got continual routes, but like really nice shaped corners.
Yeah,
and the soil is nice and loose. I think it's one of my favourite tracks I've ever ridden.
I think that's what's the best bit about it. You've kind of got such a kind of contrast of different trail features and soils, but then you can go fast with confidence because you know that the turns are coming up and they'll support you, so you can go super quick down it. I always one of my favourite stages to race, and Val di Fassa I think might well have been my favourite race venue of all the ones I raced over the years. But
still, nevertheless, I mean, we talk about the capabilities of bike, but when you've got, I mean, how long does it take to go down to Tutti Frutti? It's going to be 8 minutes, surely?
I think they took us right down to the town. I think it was 13 minutes.
So, we talk about trail bike or enduro bike, but ultimately it's how capable the rider is physically to be able to race. It must have been brutal, right?
Yeah, super brutal, and you're definitely completely out of breath by the time you get to the bottom. But yeah, I mean, it's one of those, I think that was one of the few trails where it just had this flow that meant even though you were tired, you were still having a good time, like really enjoying it. Whereas I think some of the stages, when they get to that kind of length, can become a bit of a war of attrition. You're just like, keep going, keep slogging on. Whereas that one's just like super fun.
So look, talking about attrition, war of attrition, this weekend sees the E-Enduro World Championships in Aletsch Arena. That's the famous glacier which is to the north of Valais, which is to the east of Lake Geneva. 70 kilometres in the e-bike race, 70 kilometres and 7,000 metres of descending.
It's huge.
It's a big day, right?
Super physical. I mean, even with an e-bike, like that's going to take a toll on your body, right?
It is, right? Because we talked about the descending down Tutti Frutti. That times, I don't know how many times to get 7,000 metres. Some interesting technical details of the enduro race. There's also a cross-country race. I'll tell you about the details in a minute. Is the fact that all e-bikes need to comply to European regulations, which means that is speed of 25 kph, a continuous power of 250 watts, and a maximum peak power of 750 watts. Now, this does actually mean that some brands, such as Marley and DJI, will not be allowed to compete in that event. So unless the bikes comply to the European e-pack, then like I said, they won't be allowed to race. There's also a weight limit on the batteries, 4.5 kilos. So if you think about it, lots of batteries are 2.8, some 800 watt hours, 3.8 kilos, and this is also to comply with other European regulations. But there's also a cross-country race. If I get my glasses on to tell you the details on that. That's actually 2.6 kilometers per lap and altitude of 178 meters per lap. That's also in the area, but a very different race. I can imagine that trying to keep above 25 kph on an e-bike is going to be brutal as well, right? Like
super brutal. I can't even imagine XC e-bike world champs. I've always been intrigued by it, but I mean, physicality-wise, it's...
Ferg, let's get you to the World Championships next year.
I would love to.
Along with James. I mean, what are you? You're 75 kilos?
Yep.
Yeah?
Yeah, so I need to drop... race fit. I need to drop a few kilos, I reckon, to be competitive. But
just really interested. I mean, you'll know Ryan Gilchrist pretty well, right? Ryan Gilchrist, we talk about motor power. Like, Ryan Gilchrist was the former, or the reigning E-Enduro World Cup champion, which is different to the World Championships. He's like 85 kilos and he won on a Shimano bike. His his watts per kilo is insane.
Yeah.
He is some boy, right?
I think he also is just an absolute master. You watch him at events like Crankworks, he's just an absolute past master at the pumping the bike and being efficient with it. And I think, you know, using the motor and being smart with how you use the motor, but then once you're up above that motor pace, being able to then continually generate speed using the pumping is like insane, and he's unreal at it.
One thing I need to point out actually is the fact that that is the UCI World Championships, and the rules which I just mentioned are actually UCI rules. Don't think that you cannot go to other e-bike races and ride, you know, the kind of your DJI bike or your Marley bike or your Rocky Mountain. It's just that they've decided to impose those rules this year. So you know, don't worry that you're riding bikes which are really illegal, because they totally are not. That's just, like I said, a UCI race. Ferg, a few e-bike products. This is the new Deviate Kurgan.
I've seen this, yeah.
Are you familiar with Deviate?
I am indeed, yeah. Lachlan Blair rides for them, Tom Wilson, so on the non-electric bike side of things. But I saw Lachlan on the prototype of this at Ardrock. He had a polka dot frame design which looked insane, and he actually raced it in the e-bike on the Sunday.
Okay. So high pivot design, 180mm front, 165 rear, 27.5, weight 24.9 kilos, 3 sizes, medium, large, extra large. Performance line CX motor from Bosch, 100 Newton meters, 250 watt-hour optional range extender, available for pre-order from December 2025. 2 different models on this. Kurgan Elite is €9,749 and the Kurgan Factory 11,999.
So in more news, we have new pedals from Funn. We have 4 new models involving their chromo axles and industry-grade bushings. First up, we have the Tactic. This is their cross-country pedal. So this is cageless, it's really lightweight, it's XE focused and comes in at 325 grams.
Interesting, isn't it, how different the pedals are between like an Enduro style pedal and a cross-country pedal. We've got this as the Class, actually, which we'll talk about in a minute. Actually, let's talk about it now. The Class is actually a dual-sided pedal where you've got the ability to run flat shoes one side and then go SPD on the other. Interesting, I actually did a ride with Hans, he called himself Two-Way Ray a few years ago.
Two-Way Ray.
And he actually had a clipped-in pedal one side and a flat pedal the other side. But Funn have made this pedal, which means it's good for sort of adventure riding. It's good for the ability to, you know, if you're going down the pub one evening and you go your flat shoes on, you can still ride your bike without changing the pedals. So really quite a versatile pedal here. And I think this one comes in at 385 grams, whereas this one over here, this cross-country specific pedal is 325 grams. But this is the one, this Ripper is the one that's caught my eye, Fergus. Tell us a bit more about these ones.
So we have 2 different models of the Ripper 2. One that is dual-sided, so this is focused more for your downhill and enduro riders. It's got the sort of pin design to give you a nice platform when you're sort of unclipped and you want to quickly get back on the pedals. You've got that design and then you can clip back in. Both sides, it weighs in at 428 grams.
I think there's a good platform on this. I mean, I love my Funn fundamental pedals, which are a similar shape because they, you know, like I said, they got the right amount of pin spacing, they got the right thickness of pedal, and you know the right size. And I mean, I get this. This is like, again, it's a bit like the Class. It's a 2-way pedal, but I guess for your serious racer, downhill or enduro, that's the one to go for.
I like how adjustable they are. You can adjust the sort of stiffness of the cleat. You can adjust.
It's like 15-way adjustable, isn't it?
Yeah,
like tension.
Super adjustable, and I like the sprung-loaded tensioner side of it, so you can really get a good feel when you are clipping back into the pedal.
Yeah. Do you know what? I've yet to get my head round these pedals.
Not a clipped guy.
We've actually got a video coming soon, clueless and clipped, because it scares me. I think I've got so much muscle memory in terms of flat pedals that I just get into a panic.
But it gives you the best,
a total panic.
It gives you the best technique. I think flat pedal riding, I put flats on over winter to reinforce my skills. Yeah, so I can relearn how to kind of ride with my heels dropped, ride with really good weight in the rear of the tyre.
Yeah.
And then when it comes to racing, I put these guys back on.
I mean, that's the ultimate, isn't it? To be able to ride flats and clips.
Yeah.
So I guess, you know, that's the great thing about, this one here, the Ripper 2 here, is the fact that you can actually practice too whilst you're out on the trail. So I think as a learning tool, that's one hell of a pedal. So great new range of pedals from Funn. Fergus, let's get into cool places. Actually, I did see a nice brewery down by your house which has come up. I need to get down there.
Yeah, you do. You come visit.
Near the Forest of Dean. First of all, my wife and I took our Candon Montero Neo Carbons up for riding it in Glen Einich in the Cairngorms National Park. Now, I know that Rich went to the Cairngorms recently. I mean, look at that. That single track, that background for me epitomises e-mountain bike riding.
Adventure biking, right?
It is. You into adventure bike riding?
I am, especially when it's got a motor attached to it.
So that's actually from Ranald and his wife. And this one's actually from Julian Yalland. This time, third time riding the Gap. You familiar with the Gap?
Yeah, I am indeed.
I've only done it once, actually. This is Talabot Reservoir on the background. But any of you folks living in the UK and you want a nice kind of one-day ride, then the Gap near Brecon is very cool. Okay, some feedback now. This is in relation to a video that me and Neil did a few weeks ago on what to expect in 2026. This is a comment here from CRT269. My thoughts are those that are transitioning from MTB to eMtb at first have the mindset that they just want an SL version. Then once they get over the romance of this experience and they realize the full potential of an eMtb, they quickly realize that an eMtb full power was not as evil as they first thought. He also goes on to say, or she goes on to say, that better batteries and the speed being opened up to 32 kilometers per hour standard will be the majority of riders' first choice in the future. Any thoughts on SL bikes?
So I rode the Propane Shresh SL.
You did?
I loved it.
What motor's in that?
That was the TQ60.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that bike. I thought it was the kind of balance, like they're saying, the balance between a full e-bike and a conventional pedal bike. It rode light in terms of being able to flick it around, but then obviously had the power to get me back to the top of the hill. However, I love full fat e-bikes. I mean, come on, I just want maximum laps. The more downhill I can do, the better.
It sounds like me and you need to go for an e-mountain bike ride, right?
We definitely do.
Right, that's the deal. And then this one's from Nicholas Harris. Can't help but think gearbox. This is a really good comment. Can't help but think gearboxes are being aimed at the wrong people. High price tags sold as performance product, but for me, it's a robust concept that requires little maintenance for more budget e-bikes. Crack the market with the economy of scale, the concept will fly. I think it makes sense. There's a lot of the gearbox bikes at the moment are heading on towards, well, they probably are 5 figures. We need, and this doesn't just apply to gearbox bikes. We need to see more e-mountain bikes around the £2,000 to £3,000 mark, right?
Yeah.
But a gearbox bike, that price point, and because the type of bikes at the moment, they're more sort of, how can I say it? When you say adventure, but like more sort of hybrid-y.
Yeah.
And for a certain type of riding. But some fantastic feedback there, folks, from you on what's coming next.
Right, into the bike vault. First up, we have Dominic. He has sent us in his Mondraker after a quick power hour over Aberdare mountains with beacons in the background. What do we think?
Brecon beacons.
Beacons. He's written beacons.
I know.
Come on.
The Mondraker. Nice and super nice, Ferg.
I reckon I'm going to give it a nice. Right. I'm not going to kickstart too early.
And then we've got Luke A. First time up the Wrekin. Nice and steep off-piste. Merida E160 8000. Hope Fortis wheels, rental pedals, new RockShox dropper, Bergtech high-rise bars. Schwalbe, Radial Magic Marys.
So amazing riding up there. Have you been up there?
Not been up there.
Oh, you need to get...
This is the Don's backyard.
It's amazing. It's so good.
I hear it's really steep, right?
It's super steep, but there's some incredible trail buildings over there.
Damn, I need to go and ride some of that, don't I? Anyway, super nice then?
Yeah, super nice.
Super nice. Next up, Stephen, Borrowdale Bash. Surprise you, I knew exactly where that is. This is Adam Brayton's territory. We've actually done some photographs around that spot. That's a nice, I think. And then what about Mike Huff? Do you want to tell us about Mike Huff?
So Mike Huff, long story short, kinda, I'm 63 years old, started mountain biking in the mid-80s, rode for about 20 years, then stopped. A few years ago, bought a new hardtail, wanted to start riding again. First ride kicked my butt so bad I thought I'd never ride trails again. Today, I took my first ride on the Husqvarna MC2 eMtb, and oh my God, it's a fountain of youth. I'm riding trails again, life is good. Photo from his first ride in Sherman Branch in Charlotte, North Carolina. Now, how cool is it that I'm a big moto fan, so
right, okay.
Husqvarna getting into the mountain bike market for me is mega cool. It will always be super nice from my side.
Gone a bit quiet. Yeah, I rode the gas bikes, rode the Husqvarna bikes. Husqvarna was a partner on the channel a few years ago. Really cool bikes. We still yet to decide on nice or super nice. Seems to me we're going to go super nice on this.
I want to go super nice.
Yeah, super nice. And that's it for this week's EMBN show. Now, I'm sure you've got lots of questions to ask about the Amflow Enduro bike. I mean, does that pave the way for a possible Amflow Enduro bike in the future? Who knows? And what about racing? What's your thoughts on racing? What's your thoughts on the limited power available for racers at the World Championships this weekend? Fergus, thanks so much for joining us. Looking forward to going for an e-mountain bike ride very soon.
Can't wait.